hello, hello. Good day. Happy Tuesday, beautiful men and women of God. How are you guys doing? You know it is 11:30. You know on Tuesdays at 11:30 we go live with the word of the Lord. And you probably already saw the title of the message for today. And the title is Be So Epic That All You Do Is Win, 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 no matter what, baby. Be so epic that all you do is win, 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 no matter what. Hey there, Abdul. Good morning to you. How you doing, sir? So look, this is what we got. Hey there, Miss Pam. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, sis. This is what we have. Now, last week, if you guys remember, the title of our message last week was Be So Epic That You Go Viral. Be so epic, so grand, so heroic, so impressive, baby, that you go viral. And we did a review. We're in review mode right now. I'm good. You're blessed. Awesome, Abdul. Awesome. We are in review mode right now. Now, last week, we reviewed a couple of books in the Bible. We said that if we want to be so epic, that we go viral, that we have to be one out of Genesis, somebody that is willing to bless others. We said out of Exodus, we've got to be someone that is willing to be stretched by God without complaining, understanding that there is a miracle attached to allowing God to stretch us. The other thing that we reviewed last week was the book of Leviticus. We said if we want to be so epic that we go viral, that we got to have a standard. Then we went over to the book of Numbers. In Numbers, good morning, Mr. James Lewis Rames. How you doing, sir? In Numbers, we recognize that you've got to be flexible, that you've got to be willing to move when God moves. We also went into the book of Deuteronomy last week, and we said that you realize that in life God presents to you choices that you have to make, and that you should make good choices in life. And then we ended with Joshua saying that you've got to be willing to ask God for the things that you want. So after we went through that review last week, after we got all pumped and excited saying that we're going to be so epic that we go viral, that we're going to be popular, the question that I have for you is what's next? You see, Jesse, what's next, big brother? And hey, co-worker, how you doing, sis? The thing that's next that I want to put into your spirit today as we do a review is I want you to be so epic that all you do is win, 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 no matter what. Win, W-I-N. Win means to be successful. Win means to be victorious. And that means that oftentimes you're going to run across a contest. You're going to have a conflict. There's going to be something that shows up in life. But all I want you to do is win, 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 no matter what. Now, y'all probably already heard this song. Y'all know it's not an original. Hey there, Talessa, how you doing? Hey, Billy. It's not an original song. This song was something that I'm going to borrow today. And let me just give you a little bit of it. Just a little bit of it. Hold on. Hold, please. Let me give you just a little bit of it. Y'all know how it goes. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear it? We going somewhere this morning. Hey, where we going this morning? Where we going? Baby. Look at here. Where did I pull that song up? Win, 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 no matter what. You got it, Billy. See, here's the thing. I don't want you to be confused. See, we're not supposed to be of the world. But what I need you to understand is that you are in this world. So if you're in this world, baby, you've got to understand the strategies. Hey there, Francina. Good morning, Grandmama. You've got to understand the strategies. You've got to understand how to be successful and victorious using the word of the Lord on your side so that all you can do is win, win, no matter what. Baby, I want to introduce you. I want to do a review for you, if you will, to these other books of the Bible. Hey there, Shonda. Oh, y'all on board with this win, win, win. Today we're going to do a review, and we're going to hit Judges, Ruth, Samuel, and Kings. And let's go on and jump on in it. You see, in the book of Judges, I want to take you to this quick story. Y'all are familiar with this story. It's Deborah. If we go to chapter 4 in the book of the Bible, and we go to Judges, in chapter 4, it talks about this woman, and her name is Deborah. Now, Deborah, let me tell you who she was. Deborah was a prophetess. Deborah was not only a prophetess, but she was a wife. And she was not just a prophetess and a wife, but she was also a judge. It says that Deborah was sitting underneath the palm tree, and she called Barack over to her, and it says that she said, Barak, I know that you may have forgotten, but the Lord said that you need to go out and deploy the troops. It says in verse number 8 of chapter 4 of the book of Judges that Barak said to her, he said, look, I'll go if you go, but if you're not going, I ain't in. Barak was basically saying that, look, I'm not going to do this thing by myself. It says that in verse number 9 that Deborah said, look at here, let me tell you. She said, Barak, surely I'll go with you. It says, I believe that, that's just me. I like to get into the story. I believe that Deborah pulled out her sword. And I said, she looked into that verse and she said, now surely I'll go with you nevertheless. There'll be no glory for you if you're going to take this journey with me, because the Lord is going to give this battle into my hands, and he's going to give it not only into my hands, but into the hand of a woman. You see, what Deborah realized is back in those days, y'all, let me, I got a little excited. Let me sit down. Back in those days, it wasn't uncommon for a woman to be a prophetess. It wasn't uncommon, of course, for a woman to be a wife. It wasn't uncommon for a woman to be someone that gave wise counsel and advised the people. But what was uncommon was for a woman to judge. You see, Keisha, it wasn't traditional. It wasn't the norm. It wasn't really acceptable for a woman to take the lead and say, I'll judge. But what Deborah said is that I understand that, you see, you're going into this battle with the sword, but I'm going into the battle with the word of the Lord. She says, the word of the Lord will give Sisera into my hands. See, Deborah understood that if I take the lead, God is going with me. So if all you want to do is win, no matter what am I saying to you, Tab? What I'm saying is you got to be willing to take the lead. You've got to be willing to do some things that some people won't do. You've got to be willing to shake off the fears that other people have and say that I'm courageous. I can do this thing. As long as God is with me, then no weapon formed against me is going to be able to prosper. Deborah says, I'll take the lead and I'm going to win, no matter what. So in the book of Judges, what we learn is that if we want to be so epic, if we want to be so popular, if we want to be the person that is heroic and oppressive, if we're going to be the person that's able to successfully be victorious and walk outside of conflict and confrontation, we've got to be willing to take the lead. Victoria, it says that Deborah took the lead and she took them into battle. Oh, let me tell you, let's go on over to the book of Ruth. Now, y'all know the story of Ruth. How do we get a win, no matter what, up out of the story of Ruth? It says in Ruth, y'all know that Ruth found her husband, and her husband found her, and his name was Boaz. It says in Ruth chapter 4 that Ruth and Boaz had this baby. Now, y'all remember the mother-in-law. The mother-in-law, her name was Naomi. In the beginning of the book of Ruth, Naomi was so sad. She was weeping. She was bitter. She was distressed because God had taken her husband, and he had taken her 2 sons. And it says that Ruth was the one that says, no, I'm going to serve the God that you serve. I'm sticking with you, Naomi. I'm not going nowhere. And it says that Naomi began to get over her pain, and she began to counsel Ruth and tell Ruth how she could secure this position with Boaz. It says that took place, and Ruth and Boaz had a baby. But I want to take you to Ruth chapter 4, verses 14 through 15. It says that when Ruth had this baby, that she went over to her mother-in-law, and she says, blessed be the Lord who has not left you this day without a close relative, and may his name be famous in all Israel. She was talking about the baby. She says, and may he be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, I love you, and I'm better to you than 7 sons. She said, if you had 7, she didn't really have 7. She said, but 7 is the number of completion. She said, if you had a complete, perfect family, nothing is going to substitute what God is giving you through the baby that's coming through my womb. It says that Naomi took the child and she laid the baby on her bosom. And as I began to read this story, I said, Lord, you're taking me to the book of Philippians chapter 3. You see, in Philippians chapter 3, verse 13 through 14, it says this little verse. It says that we've got to be able to forget those things that are behind and reach forward and press towards the mark. And I believe that that's what's taking place in this particular story. You see, what happened is that this baby was born, and this baby that Ruth gave the mother-in-law that was in this place where she used to think about her sons that were no longer with her, when she used to complain about the things that happened. You know how we get. I told you last week, sometimes we get into that woe is me. She said that what she had to do now was decide if she wanted to be a Philippians type of woman. It says that she gathered that baby and she began to forget the things that were behind, and she reached forth and took the baby and she pressed the baby onto her chest and began to nurse the child. What am I saying for you men and women of God? What I'm saying is, if all you want to do is win, no matter what, if you want to be so epic that that's the way that you roll through this story, you can't just take the lead. But baby, once you take the lead, you got to be the person that's willing to forget, that's willing to reach, and that's willing to press. You see, what Naomi did is she said, you know what, I'm going to forget the pain of yesterday. And some of us are holding on to some things that no longer serve us. Are we willing to take the lead and say, I forget what didn't happen. I forget the things that didn't work out. I forget the past failures that I had. I forget the divorces. I forget the upsets of life. I forget the scars the battles that I occurred along the way. I forget everything that said that it wasn't going to work out for me. And I press. I reach towards something better. I reach towards new life. I reach towards this thing called victory. I reach towards this thing called courage. I reach towards this thing saying that all things are possible. She said that I'm not even going to just reach, but I'm going to press towards the mark. See, if you want to be that person that's so epic that you go viral, that's not only so epic that you go viral, that you're popular, but that you also winning no matter what. I want you to be that person that takes the lead, but you're also willing to forget, you're willing to reach, and you're willing to press. Baby, that's what we get up out of the book of Ruth. Now let's go on a little bit further and do our review out of 1 and 2 Samuel. You see, 1 and 2 Samuel takes us into this other character. And this other character, his name was David. Y'all know David. David was the one that slayed Goliath. It says, if I look through 2 Samuel, that he not only slayed Goliath, but David had this enemy. And I told you, in order for you to win no matter what, it means that there might be a conflict. It means that there might be a contest. It might be there's something that you got to fight, that you got to go through so that you can handle this situation. And I want you to be like Deborah. You see, the millennials have this thing. When they say victorious, they don't say, you know what, I think I got this. They don't say, I think I can win. They say, you know what, bet. They look up in the face of the enemy and they say, bet, I got this. They look up in the face of every opposition and they say, bet. You see, bet means come on. Bet means I'm ready. Bet means what you got. Bet means I win no matter what. And here we have David, the one that slayed Goliath, and he had this enemy, and the enemy was Saul. Saul began to resent David. It says in chapter 18, because David slayed Goliath, and the people began to say, Saul has slain his thousands, but David has slain 10,000. It said that Saul and David had this thing, and they weren't seeing eye to eye. Miss Francina, it says that Saul began to persecute David. It says that David journeyed throughout the book of Samuel, and he found himself in the wilderness. He found himself just trying to stay focused and trying to stay alive. But it says that there was one point in time when Saul was asleep out in the wilderness, and David rolled up on him. And it said that the people that were with David said, there he is, the one that's been coming after you, the one that's been trying to take you out, the one that said that he wanted to destroy you. They said, David, go on and kill him. And it says that David slipped up on this man, Talessa. He slipped up on Saul, and he began to get close to his robe. And he got to his robe, and he started cutting, and he took a little piece of the fabric from his robe, but it let Saul sleep. He didn't even bother him. It says, if you fast forward a little bit further, we get into chapter number 24 of 1 Samuel, and it says that David was there, and he walked up on Saul, and he said to Saul, he says in verse number 9, why do you listen to the words of men who say David is seeking to do you harm? He said, don't you understand that you were in the cave, and when you were in the cave, I had an opportunity because people were urging me to take your life. They was urging me to take you out. They was urging me to get even. The people behind me was saying, bet, it's on, handle your business, David. He said, but what I did do, instead of you taking your life, I spared your life. I cut a little bit of the robe that you were laying in while you were asleep. I was that close up on you. And he showed it to Saul. And it says that Saul began to look at the robe that David showed him to let him know that if I wanted to take you out, I could have taken you out. And the Lord was with me, Rachel. There was nothing standing between you and me. All I had to do was execute. And it says that David and Saul began to look at one another. And it says in verse number 20 that Saul had this epiphany that kind of hit him in this spot. And it says in verse 20, now I know indeed. And I got a little bit trouble because it says, now I know indeed that you shall surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand. Joanne, I was trying to understand, why didn't he just say, now I know? You see, I had to go back and I said, why did he say, now I know indeed? When I went back a little bit further, I said, wait a minute, God, in chapter number 16 of 1 Samuel, when you were looking for who it was that was getting ready to be king, when you were looking for who was next, everybody else, they started bringing you all of these sons, and you said, nah, that ain't the one. And they brought you another son, and you said, nah, that ain't the one. And you said, there's somebody's missing. Somebody's supposed to be in position. Why haven't you brought me that person? And it says that, oh, that's David. David is out there in the wilderness, and he said, go get me David. And when I read that story, which made sense, that why Saul said, now I know indeed, because it says in that verse that what happened is when they realized that David was the one that they were trying to keep out of position, David was the one that they were trying to keep from being selected, what happened is they said, no, David is the one, and they got the oil, and they began to anoint him with oil. And it says that they anointed him with oil, and he was ready to do the work of the Lord. What am I saying, Tab? Where am I going with this? See, if you want to be so epic that you go viral, if you want to be so epic that you're not just popular, but you're also winning, and you're successful and you're victorious, baby, you've got to know, but you've got to know indeed. You've got to know indeed that God has anointed you. You've got to know indeed that this battle belongs to you. You've got to know indeed that you're going to come out victorious. You've got to know indeed that no weapon formed against you is going to prosper. You've got to know indeed that sickness can't keep you down. You've got to know indeed that debt can't keep you down. You've got to know indeed that when somebody else doesn't select you, God will push you forward. And not only will he push you forward to take the lead, not only will he put you in a position where you forget and where you reach and you press, but he's going to anoint you. And when he anoints you, there's nothing that you can't do. You see, God put Saul in this position, and Saul began to say, he said, now I know indeed that you are the one. Baby, do you understand? Billy, I see it in the comments. Victory is mine. Do you understand that in this season, at this appointed time, on this day, I'm not into tomorrow and I'm not in yesterday, but on this day, God is telling me to tell you, baby, that if you want to be so epic, that you are popular, that you go viral, that all you do is win, win, win. No matter what, you've got to know that you know that you know that you are anointed by God. If we go into this next book, this last book, y'all, I'm getting so excited. We're in 1st and 2nd Kings. 1st and 2nd Kings has the man named Hezekiah. Y'all are familiar with Hezekiah. It says Hezekiah was in chapter number 20, and it says that Isaiah went to Hezekiah, and he said, Hezekiah, I know you're sick, and I know that you're near death, but I want you to get your house in order. It says in verse number 1 of chapter 20 that he said, surely you are going to die, and you're not going to live. It says that Hezekiah in verse 2 said, that's not going to work for me. I understand that you are a man of God. I understand that you've been sent by the Lord, but I also understand that I know how to talk to my daddy. It says in verse number 2 that Hezekiah turned his face to the wall, and it says that he prayed to the Lord, saying, oh Lord, remember me. Remember how I walked before you in truth. He said, remember that I had a loyal heart. He said, remember all of the good that I did in your sight. It says that Isaiah had already left the room, y'all. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon Isaiah, And he says, you go back to Hezekiah and you tell him this right here. You tell him that I have heard your prayer and I have seen your tears. See, I don't want you to get caught up and think, because it wasn't that the Lord said, go tell Hezekiah that, yes, I saw that you walked in truth. He didn't say that. He said, I heard your prayer. He didn't say, yes, I saw that you had a loyal heart. No, it says, I heard your prayer. He didn't say, yes, Hezekiah, I saw all the good that you did. It says, no, when he went back to him in verse number 5, he says, go tell Hezekiah that I've heard your prayer. And because I heard your prayer, I've added 15 more years to your life. What am I saying to you, Tab? I'm saying that if you want to be so epic, baby, that all you do is win, 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 no matter what, you've got to be in constant prayer with your daddy. You've got to constantly call out to the Lord. You've got to constantly call his name and say, God, I need you. You got to constantly be in conversation and say, God, I want you. You got to constantly be in conversation and say, Lord, these are the things that I have need of. You see, what Hezekiah realized is that in that moment when God added the 15 years back into his life, it was because he had a prayer life. So what am I saying to you, baby? I'm saying that it's not just your works. It's not just the victories. It's not just the things that you overcome in this season, but you've got to be willing to talk to God. You see, when you talk to God, all you do is win, 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 no matter what. If I wanted to give you a recap this morning, the first one is you got to be willing to take the lead. Baby, in this season, no more shyness, no more taking the back seat, no more wondering if I'm skilled, if I'm capable, no more discrediting and discounting yourself because they said that you're not supposed to be able to do it because you don't have the degree, because you don't have the experience, because you don't have the title, because you don't have the letters behind your name. No, baby, if God has anointed you to do it, you can do it, and all you gonna do is win, 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 no matter what. Baby, you gotta take the lead. You got it, Talessa. The second thing that you gotta do is once you get in position and once you're standing in front, you gotta understand that winning requires a conflict. Winning means that you're gonna be in a contest with somebody that doesn't want you to be in the position that you're in, with somebody that doesn't want you to overcome the things that you're supposed to overcome. But Alisa, I speak it in faith. You're not just going to get in position, but you're going to forget all of that negativity. You're going to forget all of the past pains. You're going to forget the things that don't serve purpose for you in this season. You're going to forget the things that don't look like God, forgetting those things that are behind me. And you're going to not only forget, but you're going to reach. You're going to reach for God's goodness. You're going to reach for God's grace. You're going to reach for God's mercy. You're going to reach for God's strength. You're going to reach for God's healing. You're going to reach for God's favor. All you got to do is reach. And when you reach, I need you to understand that you're going to have to press. Hey there, Daddy. I see my dad is watching. Good morning, sir. You also got to press. Reaching is not enough. You got to press. You got to press towards the mark. Press towards the victory lane. Press to having your credit in order. Press to getting that family reestablished. Press to going as far as you can go on that job. Press up out of sickness. Press up out of debt. Press up out of conflict. Press up out of a marriage that seems like it's not going anywhere. Press towards victory. Press to it's working for my good. Press to healing. Press to financial favor. Press to that promotion. Baby, you got to reach and you got to press. And not only that, but you got to know, and you got to know indeed that God has anointed you for this. He has anointed you to win. He has anointed you to be victorious. He has anointed you to overcome. He has anointed you to be able to take this thing to the next level. I declare and I decree that every tongue that rose up against you, that said that you couldn't do it, that said that you weren't enough, every spirit that speaks in your mind and speaks in your psyche and says, well, you know, this is what's probably going to happen, and you know that this is what happened the last time you tried, I condemn it in the name of Jesus the Christ, and I declare that you shall win. I declare that you shall live. I declare that you shall not fail. I declare that victory is your reward. Baby, I need you to know, and I need you to know indeed that God has anointed you for this. And then when you get there, baby, I want you to have a prayer life. I want you to be like, because just because you win, it doesn't mean that sometimes things don't get hard. I need you to know how to have a little talk with Jesus. I need you to know how to get up on your knees. I need you to say, Lord, thank you for the victory. I need you to be able to say, Lord, thank you for the opposition, because all those although there's opposition in my life, with you all I do is win. God, you told me not to be of the world, but because I am in this world, I think I'm going to borrow a little bit of that DJ Khaled. I think I'm going to borrow a little bit of that who was in that T-Pain. I think I'm going to borrow a little bit of that Snoop Dogg. And they said all I do is win, 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 no matter what. And my hands go up in the air and they stay there. Baby, keep your hands up in the air. Keep your hands in a praying position. Keep your hands to God. Keep your hands knowing that you can win this thing. Keep your hands knowing that no weapon is going to form in your life that's going to be able to prosper. Baby, all you're going to do is win, 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 no matter what. I want you to be the person that is so epic that you not just go viral and you're not just popular because people see you. I want you to be the person that's so epic that all you do is have success and all you do is have victory. Val, I see it and I'm hearing it in the spirit. It's time for us to get in position and win, 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 no matter what. It's win, 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 no matter what, baby. Win, 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 no matter what. I want you to go into the rest of this Tuesday. Don't be worried about tomorrow. Get through the rest of this day and say, all I'm going to do today is win, 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 no matter what. I want you to get your hands in a praying position. I want you to get your hands in a hallelujah position. I want you to walk through that office and they're going to look at you strange. What is she doing, baby? I'm pushing it out into the atmosphere. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. I want you to walk through that house. I want you to declare the word of the Lord. I want you to speak it into the atmosphere and say, home, residence, place where I lay my head. All we do up in this camp is win, 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 no matter what. I want you to be so epic, baby. I want you to be so impressive. I want you to be so heroic. I want you to be so grand. I want you to be so divine that all you know how to do is win, 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 no matter what. Are you ready to go into this day? Are you ready? I know you're already up. I know you already done got dressed. I know you already done made it to your destination, but I want to hit a reset button because I don't think you got up with the right attitude. I don't think you got up with the right spirit today, and I just want to recharge your spirit. Today I'm a winner. Today I'm victorious. Today I can do all things through Christ that gives me strength. Today no is not an option. Today I'm forgetting that mess behind me and I'm pressing towards the mark. Today everything that I touch turns to gold. Today I got a lightness in my step. Today the cares of yesterday I threw it away. Today all I see is victory in my account. Today all I see is victory when I look in the mirror. My health is well. My vision is well. My ears are well. My nose, ooh, it's smelling well. My limbs are well. I got the activity of movement. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. And anything that comes up against that idea, anything that comes up against this spoken word, anything that comes, Angela, up against you being able to have a victorious mindset, I want you to do like Deborah. I want you to go into battle. I want you to pull out your sword, and not just the sword to fight, but that sword of the word of the Lord. And I want you to say, no, the Lord says that all I can do is win, 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 no matter what. The Lord says that I am victorious, and I dare you to come up against me today. I dare you to come up in here with negativity. I dare you to come up in here saying that we're not going to win. I dare you to come up in here saying that you're about to take me out. I dare you to come up in here telling me that this sickness is unto death. I dare you to tell me that I can't win. Baby, in this season, on this day, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. I speak that over my life, and I speak it over your life. And by faith, we're going to be so epic. We're going to be so epic, y'all, that the world is going to watch and say, who is this God that they serve? What is it that they're eating? What is it that they're drinking? What is it that they're watching? What is it that they're taking in? It's going to be a little confusing, and I want you to make sure you give credit to the source. You tell them that it was nothing but God, baby. God got up in my spirit. God got up in my soul, and he told me that I am a winner, and in this season, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. in Jesus' name. Guys, I hope that you are blessed by this word. I hope that it set a fire up in your soul that you won't let go out. I hope that it set some energy in motion and it's got that monumental, the momentum going. I hope, baby, that you know that on this day, if you make the choice and you put it in your mind, you've been anointed to win, that's all you're going to do. Win, 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 no matter what. Y'all, I love you. The Lord willing, we'll be together next Tuesday, 11:30 live. That's what we do. Mwah. Sweet kisses from my heart directly to your heart. Go and make it a victorious rest of the day. Bye, y'all. I love you.